Hi, my name is Jason Jessup, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Magna Mining, Inc. Magna Mining is a newly listed exploration development company trading on the TSXV under the symbol NICU. We currently have just under 64 million shares outstanding, approximately $7 million cash in the bank, and management and directors hold almost a third of the outstanding shares. So we are very much aligned with our shareholders. So Magna Mining is a Sudbury-focused exploration development company. Our flagship asset is the Shakespeare project. Shakespeare has an existing 43101 resource, as well as major permits for the construction of a 4,500 ton per day mine mill and tailing storage facility, and is a past producer, so largely technically de-risked. We believe that Shakespeare has the potential to be fast-tracked into production, utilizing potentially two existing mills that are underutilized in the region. And we believe that due to being on care and maintenance could be a potentially quick restart. And we will be evaluating different production options throughout this year. Our growth, though, we believe in the short term over the next 6 to 12 months will come through exploration, both through exploration to expand on our existing resource and test near mine targets, as well as testing high priority targets on our 180 square kilometer regional land package. So you can see in blue, our project is located just off the west end of the Sudbury Basin. We have a large land package, 180 square kilometers, road accessible to much of the infrastructure in Sudbury, including the two existing mills and two smelters that are owned by Vale and Glencore. Sudbury is a world-class mining camp. It currently has 10 operating mines in the basin and two very large development projects currently underway. It has all the service providers that a company could ever ask for exploration, construction, production in the mining industry. The other thing to note is due to the long history of over 100 years of mining in the basin, the community is very supportive of mining, and this includes the First Nations in the region. We have an IBA in place with the Sagamok First Nations, which our project sits on their traditional territory, and they're very supportive partners and are really looking forward to seeing the project advanced. A few highlights on the Shakespeare project, as I mentioned, was a past producer, producing almost 500,000 tons and having that processed through the Strathcona mill in Sudbury through 2010 to 2012. It does have an existing resource, and that existing resource does have an open pit component of 14.4 million tons in the indicated category, as well as an additional 1.7 million tons in the inferred category. Due to the mining that's been done in the past and the processing through mills, as well as extensive test work, we believe the metallurgy is highly de-risked, especially compared to many projects that are out there. And it does have payable nickel, copper, cobalt, platinum, palladium, and gold. As mentioned, major permits are in place, including our closure plan that's been approved, as well as the IBA I mentioned, and other major permits that would be required in order to move into production and construction. What we really see, though, again, I'd like to emphasize, is the exploration potential of the project, and that will really be our focus over the next 6 to 12 months. This slide here shows our current resource. As I mentioned, about 14.4 million tons of open pit resource in the indicated category. The total resource in all categories is over 21 million tons. And if you look at the grades of some of these, there's a lot of very significant byproducts aside from just nickel. If you look at it on a palladium equivalent basis, based on the assumptions that are listed on this page, you can see it would come in at 2.86 grams per ton palladium equivalent, and on a nickel equivalent basis, 0.63%. This slide here shows in blue our current resource wireframes. On the left-hand side is the wireframe for our west resource, and on the right-hand side, this is our east resource, which makes up the bulk of our current resources. And then we have a small inferred resource in the footwall we call our S13 area. The drilling that we'll be doing and is currently underway, initially we'll be filling in this gap area where there was some historic drilling done, but we do not have the assays or complete assays for all this historic drilling. And that's why we're not able to connect up the resource. We did twin one of these holes in 2018 and it came back with resource grades over resource widths right where we expected it to. So we have fairly high confidence in filling in this area. The impact of it will may not be millions of tons of additional resource just by filling in the gap, but what it could do is add in additional mineralization, which will allow in future resource updates to model this as one large pit constrained resource as opposed to two separate resources. And what this might do is add in additional mineralization that currently falls out of these pit constrained resources and into the underground category. So this area will be tested through May and early June. The other area that we'll be testing, and some of it will be just extensions of holes that test the gap zone, is to drill into the footwall in and around this S13 area. The S13 was defined by two holes that were drilled in 1949, and these two holes intersected mineralization. A third hole, which we don't have assays for, further to the south, did not have any mineralization or no assays to show any mineralization in it. But from those two holes, and one of them having a composite intersection of almost 103 meters, we believe there's great potential in the footwall, and this coincides with some other geophysical anomalies that we have. So as we drill through the gap zone, we're going to continue those holes into the footwall and test both the up dip and eastern extensions of this resource. The overall resource at Shakespeare, as defined here, is 1.7 kilometers in strike length. So it's a significant deposit, and without that, over that 1.7 kilometer strike length, there really is only these three holes that were drilled significantly into the footwall to test for mineralization, and two of those holes hit. So we are quite encouraged to further test that, and our thesis would be that there is a parallel zone of mineralization, and we will be testing that very shortly. So aside from Shakespeare, which is right down here on our land package, we do have a number of other target areas defined by EM plates that were modeled off a VTEM airborne survey. Some of these plates are highly conductive and indicative of massive sulfides, and they're all located within 200 meters of surface. And none of these EM plates shown here have ever been drill tested. So these are areas we will be following up on. We do have 3,000 meters allocated to test regional targets this year in our phase 1 drill program. So we will be starting with our P4 area, which we think is highly prospective and has all the right types of geology and geophysical signature to be a deposit. And we'll be testing that later on July and August of this year, and then systematically reviewing and testing additional targets later on after that. So near-term objective of the company, completing our 6,000 meter portion of the phase 1 drill program in and around our Shakespeare deposit to expand on existing resources as well as test some of the near mine targets. There'll be 3,000 meters in phase 1 that will be allocated to testing regional targets such as the P4 that I had mentioned. So in total, our phase 1 drill program that'll be completed over the next 6 months totals 9,000 meters. As well, this year we will be evaluating near-term production options for the company and looking at different scenarios to bring the company and leverage the permits that we currently hold. I'd like to thank you very much for taking the time to listen to this presentation, and I look forward to talking to you, and our contact information is available if we don't connect during the conference. Thank you very much.